Books, books. I like books. I'm gonna read them all.
Hi readers, Chris here. Welcome to my channel where I review fantasy, Stephen King, all sorts of books, and I have been having trouble finding the motivation to make videos, so I thought to help that I would do a tag video today because they're fun and yeah, I wanted to do that. So I'm going to be doing the New York book tag because as a fellow New Yorker, I thought this would be a fun one to do. This tag was originally created by Jim's Books Reading and Stuff. I will link his channel down below so you can check out the original video, but let's jump right in. Question number 1 is, what is your favorite book set in or around New York? And the first one that came to my mind for this question was The Diviners by Libba Bray. This actually takes place in like the 1920s New York, which I think is super cool because not only do you get that New York City feel, but you also get like the historical fiction. So it is a fantasy, but it also is a historical fiction as well. Libba Bray is one of my all-time favorite authors. If you're not familiar with this series at all, it's basically like X-Men kind of, but in 1920s New York. We have a young girl. She has powers that get her into trouble. She touches objects. She can read them. She goes to live with her, crazy uncle who happens to run this occult museum in the city. And when these murders start happening, her uncle is called to help because there's something occult going on with these murders. And of course, young Evie gets pulled in with her powers. She meets other kids with other powers. I can't say enough good things about The Diviners. If you've never read it, highly recommend. Prompt number 2 is, New York is famous for its tall skyscrapers. What is the tallest building you've ever been in? I had to look this one up because I haven't traveled too many places, not too many places with tall buildings. So actually, the tallest building I've ever been in is the Empire State Building in New York City. Other tall buildings I've been to are the Eiffel Tower in Paris, which is not as tall. The Space Needle in Seattle, also not as tall. So yeah, Empire State Building, tallest building. I have seen One World Trade Center. I've walked like around it, the park, but I've never actually been inside, so I couldn't count that one. Question number 3 is, New York, New York, so good, they named it twice. What's the last book you reread? And I have actually reread a book this year, and that was Wolves of the Calla by Stephen King. I have read a lot of the Dark Tower series before, many, many years ago, but I never finished it. I believe I read half of Song of Susanna in the past, but this is the one that I never finished, so I'm not counting it as a reread. So I'm saying Wolves of the Calla is the last reread that I've done. Question number 4 is, American Psycho is a disturbing book set in New York. What's the last disturbing book that you've read? Now, I don't think I really read any disturbing books. Some people would say some Stephen King books are disturbing. I don't really find them disturbing though. Like, that's why I like reading them. So the only thing that I could find close to this is The Girl from the Well by Rin Chu Pico. So I actually got this book from David over at David's Book Reviews. I won it in a giveaway. And the reason that I'm choosing this as being disturbing is really because of the violence in this book. So we have this ghost who basically kills people, but she only kills like serial killers and pedophiles and stuff. But when she kills them, she does it in this really, really brutal and violent way. So her killings are quite violent and quite gruesome. So even though she's kind of like the protagonist of the story, she's kind of the hero of the story, she still does these like really dark things. So it's for the violence aspect that I'm putting this on the list. But yeah, like, did it make me uncomfortable reading some of those scenes? Maybe, but I don't know if I can call that disturbing. I'm going to pause this tag for just a second because I've been wanting to review this book forever. So I'm just going to take an extra minute here to talk about this one specifically. There are chapter times if you want to skip this part, so here we go. So as I mentioned, this story is about this ghost named Okiku. Okiku? Yeah. And she was basically like violently killed herself, and now she kind of hangs around and violently kills others. But like I said, she's not just killing random people. She's killing others who are serial killers and like really horrible people. So there's this boy that is kidnapped by a serial killer, and Okiku ends up saving him, and he can actually see her. And he's like one of the first human children that's ever seen her. But it turns out that he's like possessed by this other dark spirit. So it kind of becomes this weird like battle for this little boy's soul, because we have Okiku, who, even though she kills people, like her whole thing is she protects children, and then we have this other dark soul. I really thought this was interesting because of the way it ties in like Japanese folklore and culture. If you've ever seen like The Ring or any other Japanese horror movie, I think you'd really like this one. So yeah, The Girl from the Well, it does get dark at times, it does get brutal, it does get violent, but I thought that it was really interesting. And I know Rin Chupiko has written other horror novels. I would definitely read something else by him, because I don't know, I just thought the story just kind of sucked me in, and I found it really interesting. Back to the tag with prompt number 5, which is, where were you when you heard about 9/11? So I was in college, and I got up, I went to my first class in the morning, which was first thing in the morning. I believe it was an English class. And I remember we were all sitting there like waiting for the teacher to come in. And then someone came like running in, turned on the TV. We all saw it. And of course it was a big, big thing. So I don't know I can say much more about it than that. So that's what happened. Question number 6 is, what is your favorite movie set in New York? And this is really bad, but I don't want to lie. The first movie that popped into my head was Made in Manhattan, which I don't know if anyone has ever seen that one, but yeah, it's just a really cute Jennifer Lopez rom-com about, you know, she's a maid at a hotel, she meets a guy, she pretends to be a fancy lady. It's kind of like Pretty Woman type situation, except like she's faking. And then because I was embarrassed by that pick, I was trying to picture in my head like movies where you see like the classic New York City skyline. And of course, all I could think of were animated movies like American Tail and Oliver and Company. So yeah. Question number 7 is, have you been to New York, and when is the last time you visited? Yes, I have been to New York, the city, many, many, many times. I have been twice this year. The last time I went in May. Because I've been so often and I live so close by, to me it's like not a big deal to go there. In fact, I only want to go there if it's like for something specific, to see a like a play, an art museum, something like that. Otherwise, I am perfectly happy to leave the city where it is. Question number 8 is, who is your favorite painter of New York? Or what is your favorite painting of New York? And I admittedly am not into art at all, so I did have to Google this one. I'm going to pick Georgia O'Keeffe because she is famous for doing like New York skyscrapers and stuff, but even though it's not a painting, I would say my favorite image of New York is the old V-Day or VJ Day in Times Square of the woman kissing the sailor in Times Square after oh my God, I was just looking at this and I forget what battle it was. I'm so sorry. I'll put it on the screen when I'm editing, but I was obsessed with that photo in my younger years because I happened to date a sailor in the past, so that would be my favorite. Question number 9 is, what is your favorite song about New York? And I have 2 currently. First, I would say Welcome to New York by Taylor Swift. I absolutely love that song, and the last time I saw her in concert, not the Eras Tour, a few years back, was in Giant Stadium, New York. She played that song as the opening song, and it was a great time. Number 2 is going to be New York Groove by Kiss. When my husband and I first started dating, he lived in New York. I did not. And back then, people had, ringtones on their cell phones, and that was his ringtone. Number 10 is New York is seen as the publishing capital of the world. What is your favorite publishing house? I can't say I have a favorite publishing house, so I guess I'll just pick Knopf. Sure, I think that's how you pronounce that. Question number 11 is, what is your favorite Broadway musical? I have many, many, many favorite Broadway musicals, but I'm going to pick 3. Cats, because it's the first one I ever saw. My mother brought me to it when I was very, very young, so I'll always love that one. Phantom of the Opera, definite favorite of mine. The main character's name is Christine. That's my name, so duh. And then 3, Les Mis. I will always love Les Mis. I have seen it multiple times, and I love it every single time. And finally, question number 12 is tag some friends. I'm pretty sure most people have already been tagged in this one, but if you live in New York and you want to do this one, feel free to do so. If you just like visiting New York, do it anyway. Totally up to you. But that is it for now. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe to my channel for more bookish stuff coming your way soon. All right, everyone, happy reading.